start with the next topic of yours, that is your Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provision Act of 1950. Till now we have talked about your disputes, we have talked about your trade union, we have talked about your factories protection, state welfare and your insurance, we have talked about your compensation. Now we are going to talk about your provident fund. Now this is something which is going to tell you in depth what are the different provisions which are being laid down for the protection of the future of a particular labor. It is not that when it comes to the labor class of people, these people are not able to manage their savings in the right manner, because of which they are not able to maintain a standard life during their old age. So for that reason, there are few of the acts which are being maintained by our government so that their proper income can be maintained of these class of people. Now first of all, what is the object of your Employees Provident Fund? What exactly do you understand by the term Provident Fund or Miscellaneous Provisions Act of 1950? This was being made after your independence, right after independence and your framing of your constitution. In 1950, when the constitution was being brought down, immediately after it was being realized, let's make something which is going to help out for the future of our laborers and workers. Now this particular act was being enacted to provide a kind of social security to the industrial workers. A kind of a social security which is going to give them, mainly provide them a retirement benefit or an old age benefit, such as your pension fund, such as your superannuation pension, invalidation pension, family pension, deposit linked insurance. These are the different ways through which they can get the benefit. Now, the Act is also providing for the payment of benefit in various contingencies, such as retrenchment, which we have termed in your case of your Dispute Act, closure, retirement, or reaching the age of superannuation, voluntary retirement, and retirement due to incapacity to work. So due to any of such circumstances, if you are going to face any financial incapacity or financial incapability, then in that case, these acts or these funds are going to give you protection. Now, when I am talking about this particular thing, there has been to be an applicability of the act. यानी कौन सी ऐसी फैक्ट्रीज हैं जहाँ पे ये particular act applicable हो. So it has been specifically stated that any factory employing more than 20 or more person, then in that case, immediately you are going to fall under the criteria of this your provision, miscellaneous provision and provident fund. Now, any establishment to which this act applies shall continue to be governed by the act, even if the number of persons employed therein at any time falls below particular criteria of 20. यानी सपोज मेरी फैक्ट्री के अंदर 20 और मोर वर्कर्स हुए, सडनली एक टाइम ऐसा आया जब मेरे पास हार्डली 17 वर्कर्स हैं, then in that case, once I have started this with this miscellaneous provision and provident fund act, this act will keep on continuing even if the lesser number of employees are being employed. Now, how much is the contribution under the EPF scheme, or you can say EPF scheme of your 1952? सबसे पहले सिमिलर मैनर टू योर ESIC में जिस तरह से एम्प्लॉयर, एम्प्लॉई, गवर्नमेंट सब कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, उसी तरह से यहाँ पे भी सबका कंट्रीब्यूशन है. Now let's see how much is the contribution. For in case of your employees, एम्प्लॉई अपनी तरफ से क्या कंट्रीब्यूट करेगा? 12% of the basic wages plus dearness allowances. यानी जितना भी उसका वेजेस है उसमें से 12% प्लस डियरनेस डायरेक्टली उसके पीएफ की तरफ चला जाएगा. In case of your employer, that was in case of your employees, 12% on basic plus your DA. In case of your employer, it is 3.67% of basic plus dearness allowances and administrative charges. अभी यहाँ पे एक चीज याद रखना, employer अपनी तरफ से 3.67% of the basic plus DA दे रहा है, तो in that case, so whatever the administrative charge, because if the government is going to maintain your fund and account, they are not going to maintain it for the free of cost. There has to be a particular amount of charges which has to be paid to them, and that is called to be as an administrative charges. And this administrative charges is around of 1.10% on the basic plus DA. यानी total जो भी amount होगा, that was 12% plus your 3.67% plus 1.10%. इन सब का along with the DA will be the whole contribution towards my EPF or a pension scheme. EPF means your Employee Provident Fund provisions. Now, next let's talk about your benefits of the Provident Fund. अभी कई बार मुझे स्टूडेंट्स ये पूछते हैं मैम प्रोविडेंट फंड से बेनिफिट क्या होगा, मुझे क्या बेनिफिट मिलेगा, पैसा अभी तो मिल नहीं रहा है, currently I am having the shortage of the funds and all. Then in that case, first thing let's talk about the withdrawal benefit. Now the EPF account withdrawal is having a procedure. आपको जाओ जब मन चाहो आप जाकर के पैसे विड्रॉ नहीं कर सकते. You have the procedure which you have to follow. If a salaried person wishes to withdraw their EPF account, you are a salaried person, आपको EPF account में से पैसा चाहिए, then you have to submit a form 19 to their ex-employers. जो भी आपका एक्स एम्प्लॉयर है उसके पास एक फॉर्म 19 फिलअप करो. Then you will have to in return he will give you a signature and attest it, and he will complete the withdrawal proceeding, and the members have to submit the various other documents, namely your resignation letter and a cancellation check in addition to form 19 of the EPFO, that is your एम्प्लॉय प्रोविडेंट फंड ऑफिसर. इन सब ऑफिसर के पास क्या क्या देना है, मेरा रेजिग्नेशन लेटर देना है, मेरे अदर डॉक्यूमेंट्स देने हैं, इवन अ कैंसल चेक देना है अलॉन्ग विद द फॉर्म 19. फॉर्म 19 को साइन कौन करेगा, मेरा एक्स एम्प्लॉयर साइन करेगा और मैं साइन करूंगा. When we are going to sign all these particular documents, automatically I will get a benefit out of it. Now, further, when this was regarding to your withdrawal. Now, what is the EPF withdrawal rules? इसका rules क्या क्या बोलता है? सबसे पहले, it is very important to note that the withdrawal of the EPF account by a salaried person employed between switching of job his or her job is illegal. See, मैंने एक जॉब छोड़ा, दूसरा किया, दूसरे से तीसरा किया. मैं each time अगर मैं जॉब छोड़ूंगी, that doesn't mean I will get the benefit out of it. It is illegal because this amount of yours is for your superannuation. This amount is there for your retirement. This amount is for your future life. That's why you can't do a withdrawal every now and then. As per EPF, now withdrawal rule says a salaried person employed can withdraw a provident fund account on 2 or more accounts. Okay, from 2 or more accounts he can remove. First, he or she has no job, and second, if 2 months have lapsed since his last employment. पहला चीज, अभी उसके पास कंप्लीट जॉब नहीं है, इसके बाद वो कभी जॉब नहीं करने वाला है, then in that case he can withdraw. Second situation, it has been more than 2 months he has become unemployed and he has no more money left with him, then in that case he can withdraw. Nevertheless, there are cases where an employee assuming a cumbersome claim person may withdraw their EPF account at the time of giving an authorization. कभी कुछ टाइम पे they are in such a situation where they will have to remove a particular amount of money. Now, this was your claim regarding the withdrawal.